Hello and welcome back to Imagine Sports. Let's call it late night edition, post-game pod, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be doing a post-game recap episode after every single Celtics game from here on out, because at the end of the day, this is the best team, not in the NBA, but in the history of the game. So it's only right to analyze it after every single game. Doesn't matter if it's regular season, a Monday night in Charlotte on League Pass, or Game 7 of the NBA Finals against the Denver Nuggets. Who knows what might happen along the way, but I am very excited to have these discussions because when we have our podcast, Nate sits across from me right now. When we have our podcast, it's usually after a bunch of things have happened. There's a lot of current events that we have to discuss, and we're very short on each topic because we have an hour and a half to talk about 15 different things that are happening in sports. A lot of different things are happening in sports. But tonight, in this specific type of episode, we analyze the Boston Celtics. And maybe it's not a lot different than our usual Imagine Sports episodes, but specifically what we watch in a given game, and this one being Celtics versus Sixers. We're going to recap Celtics-Sixers, and let's get right into it. Tatum had a triple-double. The Celtics blew him out. I don't know the exact final score, but I'm about to type in box score. But, Nate, what were your thoughts?
124 to 104. The Boston Celtics prevail again. And, I think it's about time we get a post-game podcast, a dedicated segment for the Boston Celtics after every Boston Celtics game. I think the podcast has been starving for this moment. But I watched the game. I had a couple parlays on the game, couple of them chalked, a couple of them cashed, but at the end of the day, what are your thoughts on this game, Jack? You're the man.
Well, I think a casual, and by casual I mean every single human being in the media.
Not me.
Most people would look at the stat lines and say, Tatum had a triple-double, but he only had 15 points. And Nate and I had this discussion before we got on. There's a difference between stats and greatness. At the end of the day, we watched this game tonight, and the Celtics won by 20 points in blowout fashion because of Jayson Tatum. Every single play was about Jayson Tatum. It involved Tatum. Everything went through Jayson Tatum, and that's how it has to be for the Celtics to be the best version of themselves at the end of the day. Jaylen Brown had 20 points, and he is a luxury to have for this team. But we all know he is not what Jayson Tatum is. Tatum can do so many different things, and ultimately the assists tonight were what stood out to me from Jayson Tatum.
Absolutely. I think the sheer fact that the Boston Celtics not only won by 20 points, but the fact that they won by 20 points and their top scorer was Peyton Pritchard with 28 points coming off the bench. In my opinion, I think he should be definitely in the contention for Sixth Man of the Year this year.
Not contention.
Or the.
He is the Sixth Man of the Year, and the award is already over.
Nah, I'm not sure. Oh, wow.
Name another sixth man that is as dominant as Peyton Pritchard. That you can't just say is having a good year, but simply would start on 70% of NBA teams.
Oh, yeah.
Peyton Pritchard is a starting point guard on most NBA teams today. There's not another sixth man that you could say that about.
Not off the top of my head. I actually do want to go to the Sixth Man of the Year candidates real quick.
Don't pause the video. Don't pause the video. I will search it up. This makes my life a living hell when it comes to editing. And now I'm going to have to, work my way around that. But that's okay. Life will go on. So now there's going to be a little 7-second pocket in this episode where Nate's going to be black. No Nate. It'll cut out and it'll just
Nate's
be
back.
Me. But anyways, Nate's back. What do you want to know? You want to know if there's any other sixth mans? Let's look at Sixth Man of the Year odds.
Odds, yeah.
And of the
I think that's a good place to start.
Odds. Because at this point it is.
What's that look on your face? You want to describe it?
I thought I saw something, but we're good. We good. Peyton Pritchard, minus 160 odds. Odds on favorite. Okay. DeAndre Hunter of the Cavaliers, plus 250 is the runner-up as of right now. Malik Beasley of the Pistons. Naz Reid of the Timberwolves. Amen Thompson of the Rockets. I mean, what are we doing here? None of these guys would start. Maybe they could start.
Pritchard. It's Peyton
but
Pritchard.
Peyton Pritchard,
It's Peyton Pritchard
has not only run away with the award, but I used to say Pritchard was our secret weapon. He ain't no secret weapon anymore. He is not secret at all.
He's a secret gadget.
But he's not somebody that you can prepare for. And if you want to take away Pritchard, be my guest, because then we have Jayson Tatum to cook on the court. I think after watching tonight, what stood out to me most is when we had our dominant run in the first half. It's not the starting five that I say is the greatest starting five in the history of the NBA. It's when Jayson Tatum's on the court with Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser, the two white boys that shoot a bunch of threes. That combination, it's the most deadly thing I've ever seen, because you have the most unguardable, most dominant, most unstoppable player in the history of basketball right here. And then you have two of the greatest shooters I've ever seen on the same court. It's like Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant, but frankly better at the end of the day. So I'm looking at Jayson Tatum, Stephen Curry, and Klay Thompson in many ways when I watch the Boston Celtics in that second unit play. That's supposed to be our weak link when our starting five comes off the court. And no, it's Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser who come in there and are every team's worst nightmare in the game of basketball. You can't stop them.
Well, it's not like they're like the triangle. They're like the Bermuda Triangle of death now. But I do think that it's a pretty tough squad to deal with after dealing with the starting five. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. That's why I think the Cleveland Cavaliers are such a good matchup for the Boston Celtics, because at the end of the day, they can at least somewhat hang defensively, and they're not going to get torn apart like the 76ers did. The 76ers are no match head to toe. I mean, you were saying earlier, oh yeah, it's because they're fully healthy and the Celtics look this good. I do agree. You guys showed up. You guys put belt to ass on them, and as you guys should have. But the 76ers are not all that. You know, they're the 10th seed for a reason.
Sure, but I mean, at the start of the year, I mean, before the season started, you and I were both talking about the Sixers as contenders. Did a bird just fly in, bro? What is going on?
Bro, these kids are playing soccer over here. Crazy.
Anyways.
It's an apartment complex.
Listen, the Sixers are not, by any means the contender that we expected them to be. Mm-hmm. And that's not what we're going to judge the Celtics on. We're not going to say the Celtics are going to win it all because they blew out the Sixers tonight. No, there's many reasons why. Mm-hmm. But when I look at the Eastern Conference, I mean, we're going to cruise. And you don't agree with this. You think it's going to be a lot more difficult than last year. I'm going to ask you a simple question right now. Can anyone win more than one game against the Boston Celtics in this playoffs in a series?
Yeah, because, I mean, whenever I present the argument as to why last year's run was kind of a cakewalk for you guys, because you guys were the best team in the NBA, no doubt about it. But first round, no Jimmy Butler. Second round, against the Cavs, you guys, only lost one game, but you guys didn't see Donovan Mitchell, for a majority of the series. And then, I mean, I think this year, the East has gotten stronger than last year, and barring injury, I think it'll at least make it a 6-game series. I mean, me personally, you talk like I hate the Celtics. I think the Celtics are the favorites and should come out of the East. They're my pick to come out the East. I think it's just going to be tougher this year.
Yeah. I think last year's road was maybe a little bit easier because of the injuries that happened. Jimmy Butler, Donovan Mitchell, and even Tyrese Halliburton in that last series, Eastern Conference Finals. But this year, I don't look at it that way. I look at it as, all right, how are the Celtics from last year to this year? Okay, maybe Drew Holiday got slightly a little bit worse, but realistically, he's probably the same player. Derek White, he didn't really improve by any means, but he didn't get dramatically worse. He's still going to be Derek White. Kristaps, if healthy, is a luxury, and he didn't regress by any means. You look at Jayson Tatum from last year to this year, miles. He is playing a level of basketball I've never seen before. This is me, Jack Cody, saying these things about Jayson Tatum in 2025. This is the best version we have seen of Jayson Tatum. He's playing the best basketball of his life, and we won the title last year We all know he wasn't playing the best basketball of his life. He did enough. He didn't take away from the team. He was struggling shooting the basketball, and now he's out there just hooping. There's nobody that can stop him in the world. Jaylen Brown was the finals MVP last year. He, I wouldn't say has regressed, but when you look at Brown, it's not like he's gotten a whole lot better. Mm-hmm. I fully expect Brown to return to that finals MVP level, or at least find a way to help us win a title and not hurt us. He's been there before where he's hurt us with his left hand. He's not going to hurt us. This Boston Celtics team, despite the early struggles in the beginning of the year, we all knew what was going on. They were not playing their best basketball. After watching a 20-point blowout after All-Star break, they get back. It looks like they're fresh, motivated, and the best version of themselves, ready to basically blow through the Eastern Conference 12-0, maybe drop a game here or there on a lackluster night in the playoffs, which I don't expect, and then they're going to win in 5 in the NBA Finals. This is the best basketball team I have ever seen in the history of life, and they're about to go on the greatest run ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely fair to say that. I like what I've definitely seen in the Boston Celtics over this past month that's really stood out to me is the fact that they were struggling and getting into dogfights with teams that they shouldn't have, and it's because Jaylen Brown had the mantle. But especially as of recently, as Jayson Tatum has been able to kind of take over as that leader, and I've been hearing buzz here and there saying, oh yeah, Jayson Tatum needs to kind of stop just passing it and letting the Celtics cook. He needs to kind of take control, and I've been seeing nothing but that. So credit to Jayson Tatum, credit to the Boston Celtics for looking like the 2023-2024 Boston Celtics. And yeah.
No, I'm going to stop you right there. That's not true. They don't look like the 2023-24 Celtics. They look like the 24-25 Celtics. Actually, scratch the 24 out of there. We're in 2025. This is the best version of this team. The best it's ever looked.
The best, yeah.
And
I would say so.
I have no words than to say they're going to blow through the entire Eastern Conference and it's going to be easier than last year. And there's not a Western Conference team that is capable of competing with the Boston Celtics. There's not a team in the NBA on the Celtics level. And why does the media ignore that? Why is it not Celtics being promoted the way Golden State was promoted? Because this team, frankly, is better. Yeah, well, you got to appreciate greatness in the moment.
Yeah, well,
the way that we do with the Kansas City Chiefs, this is right up there with it. If I could relate Jayson Tatum to any football player, it's nobody other than Patrick goddamn Mahomes.
You can't say Jayson Tatum's Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes and all these players. So you've never seen that in life happening.
I saw it 3 years ago when they were 11th in the Eastern Conference. They've been the best basketball team in the NBA since that point for 3 years straight. The ball has bounced the wrong way 2 times in those 3 years.
3 years ago, they versed the Warriors in the NBA Finals.
They were young, inexperienced, and Steph Curry was there. Great. Tatum didn't show up. They were still the better team in that series, and even Golden State would say that. They were a better overall basketball team. The following year, we all know what happened, but normally I point to the Jayson Tatum roll of the ankle. It's more so in Game 1 when Grant Williams was taunting Jimmy Butler, and it allowed for Miami to go up 1-0, and then boom, 2-0. Next thing you know, they're up 3-0, and we had to climb Mount Everest, and we almost got there. But the media ignores the obvious, which is that the Celtics have been the clear-cut best team in basketball for 3 years, and they're going to cruise to a back-to-back championship.
Let's see it.
Seeing it right now. Because every other statement that you've made, frankly, on this podcast is inaccurate about every other team.
What's every other team?
I literally labeled a podcast episode at the start of this year, at the start of the NBA season, probably a week in, for you, Thunder versus Celtics NBA Finals preview.
Oh, I think it's going to be Nuggets.
I know you think it's going to be Nuggets because you switch up every week.
Because I want it to be Nuggets.
But at the end of the day,
I'm a Russell Westbrook guy. I'm a Nikola Jokic guy. I think Nikola Jokic is the best.
You have been wrong about the Boston Celtics.
I think the Celtics on paper are the best team in basketball, but I just don't know about them winning a finals again for a second straight year.
Here you are being wrong again. I just explained they're the greatest team in the history of life. Not in the NBA right now. In the history of the game. I want you to name a team in the history of basketball that would beat this team. I'll wait.
I mean, like, who won the championship in 2023? The Nuggets, 2023 Nuggets.
How have they been doing?
2017, 2018 Warriors.
That's a good series.
2013 Heat.
That's cookies. Wait till people realize that Jayson Tatum is just a better version of
2003
LeBron
Lakers.
James. You know, everyone's supposed to pass the torch. We had the Michael Jordan to Kobe Bryant, and everyone thought it was Kobe Bryant to Jayson Tatum. But at the end of the day, it's LeBron James to Jayson Tatum. That is the combination that people are ignoring. What I watched tonight, this is a recap of Celtics Sixers. Tatum had 10 assists. That was LeBron James-esque, and that's what we look for in a franchise player. I don't care if you go out there and score 30 points. According to Luka Doncic, that's pretty easy in the NBA.
I do love that, not going to lie. How you said today after the game, what sticks out to me is the passing. That's what you said. And I was like, okay, you always glaze and talk about how Jayson Tatum's the perfect basketball player. He can score in any which way that he wants. But listing out his passing is very interesting because that seems to really elevate the Celtics and make people better around him. Yeah. What I see in every single elite basketball player and every single Hall of Famer is not only were you great, but did you make others great around you? And that's what, Jayson Tatum has been showing in the Celtics wins, which hats off to him. He's been doing it.
Yeah. It's ultimately about, can you make the right decision? And when you're young in your NBA career, you don't always make the right decision. And in the last 3 years, I've seen Tatum just get better and better at this. He's always been a good scorer. He's always been a good shooter. He's a hooper. But what makes him the greatest basketball player ever is the 10 assist games. It's his ability to look like LeBron James, which nobody saw 3 years ago.
Yeah. People don't want to give him flowers, and
nobody does. He's fourth in the MVP conversation right now. That's blasphemous. Blasphemous. Why is he behind Giannis? Give me one good reason. Jokic, Shea, all these guys are having great years. They're not Jayson Tatum. What is the thing that is going to prove that statement? Is it Tatum winning another finals? Because I feel like for the rest of time, I noticed this with Brady because he just wasn't flashy and fantastic. People held on until his fourth, fifth, sixth Super Bowl to really diagnose him as the greatest of all time. True. I feel like Tatum's never going to get the love, even if he goes back-to-back, even if he wins a finals MVP, or even an MVP for that matter. Everyone's going to find a way to nitpick him. And I'm sitting here in the year of 2025 telling you, I've never seen a more perfect basketball player in my life than Jayson Tatum.
You've seen LeBron. You were alive in 2018?
I was.
2018 LeBron?
And Tatum is a better version, a higher ceiling player of LeBron James.
So you're So you're telling me that you would rather have 2025 Jayson Tatum than 2018 LeBron James?
Yes, because I've been quoted saying before that not only is Jayson Tatum a combination of his beloved Kobe Bryant, but also a combination of LeBron. And you can throw MJ in there. He's a combination of the three most talented players the game has ever seen. And I even see some Steph Curry in him too. So what do you want me to say more?
What are you seeing? I mean, he is light skin. Steph Curry's light skin.
He shoots that three pretty well for a 7-footer.
Oh no. I mean, keep on rounding up on the inches, make him 7 feet. I mean, shoot.
That's what everyone did with KD.
KD's actually 7 foot though. He's like 6'11".
Tatum got some meat to him though. We're gonna cut that part out. More editing for me, but he does. That's the truth. Does he not? No. He's more bulky.
Well, you'd have to ask your connections on that one.
All right. All right. I asked my question about name an all-time great that could beat the Celtics in a 7-game series. I waited. You gave me 3 answers. They were all bad answers.
Well, no, I mean 28. 2017, 2018.
I think
Warriors.
this year is going to prove that this Celtics team is better and would beat the Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant because of Peyton Pritchard.
Well, you need a three-peat in order to do
Fine.
to really be in that
We
conversation.
don't need a three-peat. We need to go back to back.
Okay,
we win
back
it
to
this
back.
year. We're in the conversation, and my take is valid. Up until that point, people don't need to listen to me, but they can if they want to because I am telling the truth. This is going to be the conversation in the next 5 years, if not in the next 3, is the Boston Celtics of Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown the greatest basketball team ever?
It's going to be in conversation, but you also have to establish dominance of some sort. Like, that's what you also have to realize. You either have to have aura-filled dominance or you have to run through the NBA with pure dominance. And I
need you to get the aura thing out of your head because that means absolutely nothing. It means absolutely nothing. It meant so much for Kevin Durant and all of his shoe sales and all of his beautiful abilities until everyone realized he was a snake, and then now nobody even puts him in the top 10 all time. And he was at the start of Kevin Durant's career. If you ask people, is this guy going to end up top 10 all time? They probably would have said yes.
GOAT conversation. He was in the GOAT conversation.
Yes.
Early in his career.
He has not lived up to his expectations. And that is what I consider the definition of aura. That's an aura type of player. Anthony Edwards, who will never win a ring.
No.
Aura type of player. Aura doesn't mean anything.
I think we have the
Jayson
aura.
Tatum has the aura that I'm looking for. I think a franchise player. Steph Curry has the aura.
You have awkward the definition
aura.
of aura.
No.
He doesn't know what aura means.
What is aura?
You must not know what aura means.
I know exactly what aura means. I don't care about it in my basketball player.
I think aura
if
pissed
he's
him
performing. Off. No, because that's what you use in arguments against Jayson Tatum is that he doesn't have aura. Yeah. Why does that matter?
Because you have to come with charisma and personality in the aura that
Jayson
you bring
Tatum
with.
is the most charismatic human in the history of life.
The fuck up out of here. You see, that's just like too much. You're riding it with no license.
I'm not riding it with no license. I'm telling the truth.
Bro, you'd be arrested.
If you asked his mother, she would say that Jayson Tatum, my son, is very charismatic. About as charismatic as it gets.
He's not like, okay, by the way, we do have to also address this too. The fact that we were just talking about the other day, the face of the NBA, you were saying Jayson Tatum, I was saying Victor Wembanyama. I mean, I hate to say it, but literally the next day, I mean, as where we stand today, he might have just left that conversation. Having that health issue, I mean, it just sucks. It sucks, man.
It's very sad, and to see a player with that much hype and hope, we were all anticipating the greatness of Victor Wembanyama to kind of start to hit the playoffs this year. You know, like I felt like San Antonio added De'Aaron Fox to make a early run in Victor's career, and it doesn't mean they had to go win the title. It doesn't mean they had to go win the Western Conference. It doesn't matter how far they got, but it was this idea that experience means everything. And Jayson Tatum at 20 years old was going up against LeBron James in 2018. That's experience. If Vic never makes the playoffs for the next 5 years and they're a bottom 5 team in the Western Conference, that's going to take a hit on the start to his career. When you're in the hunt and you get the experience early in your career, that's going to benefit the age of 26 to 30. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, for an example, like Jayson Tatum getting all this hype at 19, wins his first chip at 25? So, yeah, I mean, perfectly said.
Yeah, 26. His birthday is on March 3rd.
Oh.
Still 26.
Are we going to be singing happy birthday to Tatum?
We will be. And that's actually very soon. That's approximately
right around the corner.
11 days.
It's literally like the day
Jayson
I come
Tatum's
back into town, too. That's like perfect. Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. Before we get out of here on this little post-game pod, I did want to address and have a conversation about Luka Doncic. I think, because he's in LA, there's just going to be a lot of
chatter.
There's going to be a lot of question marks every time he does one thing wrong. People are going to raise alarm to it. But at the end of the day, there have been two statements I've heard in the last kind of few days. People are saying Luka's confidence is shot. They're also saying he is not healthy enough to be playing. So I don't really know what to make of this whole Luka slow start thing in LA, other than to say he's Luka Doncic. They traded for him for a reason. He will figure it out. They will make the Lakers are going to find a way to fit around Luka, and that's ultimately what needs to happen here. That's why Luka is not in rhythm and not shooting the ball well. Once they find a way to play together and have some sort of chemistry, this team is going to be a guns a-blazing, and Luka Doncic will be in MVP form. And I fully expect nothing else other than that. All I say here with a bullet on my sheet of paper is relax.
Exactly. I mean, I do think eventually Luka and LeBron are going to make an NBA Finals. I think it's just like, why would the NBA do this? Why would Adam Silver make this call to Nico Harrison and orchestrate this trade just for us to not see a LeBron James and Luka Doncic NBA Finals? I just don't know if it's going to be this year because Luka dealing with this injury and things getting shaky. I'm going to tell myself this right now just so I don't fall for the hype later when the Lakers are going to start getting hot with Luka in 2 to 3 weeks or whenever it is that they click. Don't fall for the hype, and I'm not going to, but they're going to get things going eventually. Luka is still Luka at the end of the day. Let's not forget that.
Yeah. Very well said. Don't panic if you're a Lakers fan. Part of me says, hey, he has to have the ball. Part of me says it's LeBron James, Luka Doncic. They're too great to not be able to. They're going to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because their play styles kind of clash a little bit,
it's a different team now.
Make a whole lot of sense. They're great enough basketball players to figure out how to play with each other and find ways to win together. They're going to do what it takes to win. And if that means Luka doesn't score as much, that means Luka doesn't score as much. That's what Tatum had to experience last year.
He is also going to have to learn how to play defense, though, at the same time, because that is a major gaping hole in that Lakers team. And obviously, they know they're going to have to shoot a lot more threes to keep up with everybody because missing Anthony Davis, who is probably the best defensive player in the league, now you got one of the worst defensive players in the league, but you got one of the best offensive players in the league. So it's kind of a trade-off, but hopefully they benefit from it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for the post-game pod. Celtics get the dub against the Sixers in blowout fashion. Tatum with a lovely little triple-double. Do not attack the fact that Jayson Tatum only had 15 points tonight. I get it. He should have had a little more, and maybe he didn't make as many shots. But, boy, if you get a triple-double and if you pass the way he did tonight, go watch the tape back. Those assists weren't just handoffs. They were no-look Patrick Mahomes-esque passes. Okay, the glazing is over. Peyton Pritchard for MVP. That'll do it. Subscribe to the pod. We'll see you next time. Peace.